We live in the best community to build a business and a life for yourself and your business. And I think that all of you in this room, even when there's duplicates of businesses, is proof of that, because we can all do business together, and we can all support each other, and we can all help each other grow. And it's just a really beautiful thing. And that's one of my favorite things about this group, is that we're all in this together. But what we are here for today is the most stunning woman I know. Her name is Elizabeth Strauss, if you did not already know her, but if you do, you love her. She and I met very early in both of our businesses of what seems like a very long time ago. She is a light in this community. She is a light in her business. She serves people from the biggest heart you will ever experience in your life. And I am honored that she's going to come up and share her story with us today. So please help me welcome Elizabeth Strauss.
Well, thank you all so much for being here today, and thank you so very much to Elizabeth and Andy for this opportunity. I know that you could spend your time anywhere in this world. I appreciate that you chose to give me 30 minutes of it. So I hope to give you a little nugget to leave this room with today. Okay, here we go. One of my life's mottos is it's good to let go. And that may not be too surprising to hear from a professional organizer, right? I'm always going to tell you to let go of those clothes that don't fit, that expired food in your pantry, that stack of paperwork that you needed to go through about 3 weeks ago. But today I'm going to be talking about letting go of our expectations, getting things done a certain way, and ideas and hard feelings. So I want everybody to take 1 second today and really think about what's been something difficult for you to let go of. Even though I stand here before you as a business owner today, I never thought I would actually own a business. Didn't set out in this world looking to be that change. So as I tell you the story of how I got into this business, I would like to take a moment and acknowledge this one right here. She is me many years ago. Although she's very put together looking, which I am not right now, standing there in her yellow polka dot dress, holding the 2 homemade cakes on the way to an Alzheimer's charity event. This is actually me at my lowest point of my life. I was struggling really hard with infertility and endometriosis, and I was still having to show up to represent my business in a very professional capacity, dressed nice, looking nice, and the worst part was this depression, the sadness I was feeling was robbing me of my appetite and left me with that permanent painful lump that you get in your throat right before you feel like you're gonna cry, but you really don't want to. There was just so much disconnect from the outside of this person who kept getting compliments on, wow, you look amazing. But I was meeting my lowest self. I wish I could go back and give this woman a big hug. I wish I could tell her, thank you for fighting so hard. I wish I could tell her you don't have to be quite so stubborn. But I can't do that. I can't go back in a time machine. I can't tell her those things. But what I can tell you is this. The next time it's hard, like really gut-wrenching hard, that your struggle is building character for you. Your struggle is making you more resilient, and I'm sorry to say it, but sometimes a little bit more interesting. Struggle brings beautiful things that are really going to be appreciated, but it can be so hard to let go. I was working in the corporate world and I was a little bit miserable. I don't know if you can tell from this photo or not. I was paying invoices for dimethyl disulfide, polyalpha olefins, normal alpha olefins, K-resins, polystyrenics for a petrochemical company, and that was so boring to me I almost fell asleep telling you that last sentence. Sat in a gray cubicle for 9 hours a day, and I decided it was time to make a lateral move. Maybe a change in the business would bring a change in me. And when I made that lateral move, I was so lucky. I got a terrible boss. It didn't feel very lucky at the time. I went from being given special assignments and special projects and having great connections in the world to being threatened to be put on a performance improvement plan being held late one day so she could tell me, nobody in the department even really likes you. I forgot to change my slide, there we go. And I was terrified to leave my desk. This is not an actual picture, but this definitely represented how I felt being in that job. Started having anxiety attacks and I wasn't sleeping. I was scared literally every single second of the day, but what was I gonna do? I needed this job, it's how I paid my bills. I opened up and I tried to fill out a lot of different applications at many different petrochemical companies, but I couldn't even write my name on the application. I knew it was time to leave, but what was I gonna do? How was I to get free of these very beautiful golden handcuffs? My job was fortunately, and a burden, very slow. Like minutes of the day felt like years. And so I did what any high achiever would do. I got really deep into TED Talks. My favorite one was called The Art of Being Yourself by Carolyn McHugh. I ended up watching it well over 100 times. My favorite line that she shares with people in this talk is, everyone was incarnated on this earth to sing their one true note. And when people find that one true note to sing, they're oftentimes described as larger than life. And then she laughs in her little Scottish brogue and she says, that's so funny to me, because what is larger than life? I knew the second I watched that, despite making arduous lists, what my one true note was. I was put on this earth to help people organize their homes. I had been doing it since the 3rd grade. I would go over to my friend's house and tidy up her closet and think we had had the best play date. Anytime I'm working on a giant anytime I'm working through a giant organizing project, I truly hear symphonic music as the pieces just put themselves together for me. I knew I had to take a chance singing my note. So I did what anybody who didn't think they would start a business would do. I reached out to over 50 different organizing companies, and I said, I'm an amazing organizer, I'm a hard worker, I'm smart, I'm gonna be great. When can I start? And all of them told me the same thing. We would never hire anyone. You have to go out and start your own business if you ever wanna be an organizer, and if it's a big enough project, you call somebody else in. So I knew what I had to do, and I went and told the important people in my life, hey, I'm thinking about starting a business. And they all said, are you sure? That seems like a really risky thing to do. You get paid every 2 weeks, you have a matching 401k, you get health insurance. Yet I could fathom nothing else. So in early 2017, I set up an LLC, and I intended to be a business of one forever, a solopreneur. So here we are. I never thought I would own a business, but here I am in this first photo, walking out of the corporate world. I had just turned in my badge and my laptop, and I felt both the freedom and the burden of being that brand new business owner. Y'all, it is like riding a roller coaster. One minute you're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. The next minute you're like, oh my God, what have I done? My goal as I walked out of that business was to organize every home in the state of Texas, every single one, apartment to mansion. And here I am as a little bitty baby business owner. Doesn't she look so full of hope? The first 3 months of owning this business were amazing. My very first day on my own, I walked into a 7:30 networking breakfast, and I didn't know it at the time, but I met the woman that was going to become my business partner. I met an amazing business coach. He invited me to a free event the next day, and it changed the trajectory of how I was going to do my business. I also booked a job right on the spot. Thought, man, I was worried about owning a business? Sure does seem easy. I had even filled out my entire book of business through the month of September. I don't know if you guys remember this, but then this little storm called Harvey hit, and it hit hard, and it flooded hundreds of thousands of homes. And while the floodwaters rushed in and receded, they took a lot of my dreams with me. I lost my entire book of business like that. My whole book of business for the month of September that was paying my bills went away. People were more interested in dedicating their time and their resources and their finances to helping people that had been affected by the storm. So I took odd jobs. I even took on babysitting work. I volunteered at donation centers, sorting donations. I did anything and everything I could. I tripled down on networking to try and fill my schedule back up because I was anything but a quitter. but I also felt like the biggest failure in the world. Here I was with what I knew was a life-changing service that I felt nobody wanted. One day, an unknown number called me. I thought, oh my gosh, this is a client. I'm about to book a consultation and work. Wrong. It was a small business development center calling to offer me a loan in case my business had been affected by Harvey. And I didn't even have enough collateral to fill out the paperwork. Even though I was volunteering, tripling down on marketing and networking, out at all of the events, I couldn't call Wells Fargo and say, hey, I've been a really good person this month. Can I get you double on my mortgage next month? I knew that I had to do something different. And I want to tell you, as a business owner, I even had my favorite place to cry. So one very extra sad day over drinks, I was told a hard truth that was very, very, very difficult to swallow. They told me organizing is a luxury service. It's not a necessary service like roofing, plumbing, HVAC. And like our good friend Lizzo says, the truth hurts, but once we know better, we have to do better. I knew that I was too stubborn to quit, but I also had the knowledge. That's me. Sometimes I'm a little bit of a stubborn ass. But once we know better, we do better. I was too stubborn to quit. At this point, I had tasted freedom. I could never go back to a bad boss or apathetic coworkers. How was I going to make organizing sustainable? What were we going to do? So I had to take the first big step in letting go, and I had to let go of that dream to organize every home in the state of Texas. One day on my babysitting job, I passed a funeral home. I thought, this is it. This is what's going to save me. I will offer postmortem clear-out so that when families are grieving and maybe out of state, I can come in and I can organize and clear out the home. And guess what? Not one funeral home would get back to me. Not much longer after that experience, my dad sent me a really interesting article from the Wall Street Journal about senior move management. And it sounded like everything that we love doing, getting to help a demographic that we love to help, but it had the sustainability component. And I felt like Charlie when he won the golden ticket. I immediately emailed the article to my business partner and I said, I think this is it. Oftentimes when we lose our biggest dream, like organizing every home in the state of Texas, we actually end up gaining. In early 2019, I sat across a big mahogany desk from a fertility doctor, and he told me that we would never have a family without the help of IVF. And I felt like somebody had turned up the gravity in that room. This is to date the most devastating news I've ever heard. Led me on some dark and unexpected paths. Has something like that ever happened to you? Sometimes when we lose, we really end up gaining. I want to tell you all the time about cleaning out a client's closet. In 4 hours, we organized her bedroom, her bathroom, and then we really deep dive into that closet. And I think I left that poor woman with 4 or 5 shirts. I thought, oh my gosh, she's gonna call and want some of this back, or she's gonna never, recommend me because I took all of her clothes. She called me 2 weeks later and let me know that letting go of all of those things that didn't fit her really helped her to get back on track. And in 2 weeks, she had lost 14 pounds because she wasn't overwhelmed by the clutter. She had clothes that fit her. She felt ready to start the day every day. So many times we lose something, but we gain even more. I want to tell you a little bit about addition by subtraction. About a year into running this little business, it was called Be Organized at the time, I got so tired of making all of the decisions. I was physically exhausted from doing all the work, but mentally I was exhausted from making all of the decisions. And I thought it would be really great if I had a business partner. So I asked the lady that I met my first day on my own at that 7:30 a.m. BNI if she would step in and be my business partner. I wanted her to be 50-50 with me. And everybody told me, that is crazy. You started this business, you founded this business, you keep 51%, give her 49%. But what type of equitable partnership has a 2% trump to pull on somebody at any time? Not one that I knew of. So I invited Mary to step into my business as a 50-50 partner. Everybody said, you're crazy to give up 50%. And I will stand here and tell you to this day, if you know Mary Anderson, I didn't lose 50%, I gained 1,000%. Sometimes when we give up a little, we gain a lot. Another time in our business, we had to part ways with a moving company before we had started our own. And that was very difficult because we relied heavily on them to do the moves. Growing a business has many setbacks and lots of growing pains. We had a summer where we lost 2 leads. They were our only 2 leads. So Mary, Danielle, and I had to jump back into the business in the busiest time of year and get to work. But it gave us an opportunity to work with our team, make the changes that we need to make, and promote 2 of the most amazing women into the lead position that we have now. Sometimes our greatest setbacks, challenges, and pain are paving the way for survival and sustainability. And it doesn't make it suck less as you are wading waist deep through the shit without waders on. But I encourage you, as you are waist deep in that shit, don't sit down, don't give up, keep walking through it. Challenges in your business will never go away. In 2020, who remembers that fun little virus that came through? I think we called it COVID. We were watching it as it literally shut down the different senior communities that we had worked so hard to be a part of. And not just shut down, it was nobody in, nobody out, police barricades, shut down by the state of Texas. I was worried for my team. I was worried for our seniors that we had moved. I was worried for me and our business. But our past challenges with our team, with Harvey, with essential key players in our business, made us essential during COVID. And because we had lost that partnership with a moving company, it had forced us to start a move division. We became licensed movers in the state of Texas in 2020, January 2020, and what hit 3 months later. So while other businesses were shut down or couldn't grow, we saw growth in that year. But I promise you, it wasn't because I was the smartest businesswoman ever. It was because I had felt the loss with Harvey. I had felt the loss with the move team. We grew, we became sustainable. We found the way to make organizing not a luxury service. I'd like to go 2 years into the future and talk about 2022. It was summertime, our busiest move season, and I get a text, I wish I would have put it in here, of my business partner with our moving truck being towed away in the background. Do y'all know how much it costs to tow a moving truck? It's $1,000, just in case you were wondering. One of our movers had put DEF in the diesel and flooded the engine, and it cost us a $60,000 move vehicle. I struggle with imposter syndrome a lot, but do you know what it's like to own a moving company and not have a moving truck? I wasn't laughing at the time, but I'm glad we're finding humor in it now. And then when we finally recovered from that and we leased a vehicle, 2 months later, the brakes on our Dodge Sprinter van, a Ram ProMaster 2500, failed, and it caused a 3-car pileup. I was walking home from getting the mail when I received that phone call, and I felt so bad because I was physically present with my family that evening, but mentally, my mind was on Nick, who drove that van. My mind was on the 2 other people that were in that pileup. And I was really, really concerned about how we were going to be a moving business with the sum total of 0 moving vehicles. We adjusted, we felt the hurt, we let go. That's all you can do in the hard times. Adjust, feel what's hurting, let go. Our most painful lessons can be our greatest teachers. Let me tell you a little story about tools. We were contracted by a family to do a whole home organization, but they really wanted to focus on the garage. It was so full up. When we got out to the garage, there were these big ocean machinery tools everywhere. I mean, every part of that garage. And I asked the gentleman, I said, do you work on ocean machinery equipment? He said, no, but my grandfather did. And my grandfather raised me, and he passed away very unexpectedly, very tragically. So I've kept all of his tools so that I can remember him. And I thought, man, if your grandpa could see these tools right now littered all over a garage floor, covered in dust, dirt, gecko poop, all the things that come in garages, I don't know that he'd be really proud of how you held on to these. And I realized I was doing the same thing in my own home, in my own life. I had lost my dog of 13 years not that long ago. And I did what any normal grieving person would do. I shoved his bull and his leash deep under that closet storage under my stairs. because they were his items. How could I ever let go of them? And about 6 weeks later, we did get a new big brown dog named Archer, who is another light of my life. My husband said, well, just give Archer Echo's bowl and leash. I thought, are you crazy? Never. Those are Echo's. We have to honor him by shoving it under the closet under our stairs. But I realized after I did this garage clear out that our memories live here. And our memories live here. They don't live in the people's items. My dog was born on St. Patrick's Day, so I wrote a letter about feeding the dog and how much he meant to me. I wrote a letter about walking my dog and how special that relationship was. Took a picture of the leash and the letter, and I stapled them together, and I took them to the animal shelter where I'd gotten my new dog. And I took that bowl, and I put the letter in there, and I took it to my vet clinic where they help underprivileged people that have dogs get the supplies that they need. Our memories live here. Our memories live here. When we hold on to things that don't serve us, when we hold on to items that we don't use, they go to waste and rot, and it robs others of the opportunity to use them. Holding on to items that no longer serve us is like being in a closet of the most beautiful clothes that will never fit you. When we hold on to things too tightly that aren't serving us, we don't have the space in our lives for the things that we need. I want to tell y'all, had I not let go of being in the corporate world, had I got hired on by a professional organizing company, had I stayed a team of one, I would never get to meet these beautiful people. This is the actual team that does the work every day that supports this company. And I call them my team, not my employees, because if they were not out playing the parts that they needed to, I would not get to play the part that I need to. And I would still be a business of one. You can't carry all the things. You have to decide what's worth keeping and set free the rest. I was asked recently a very thoughtful and good question. What took you so long to try IVF? Number one, it's pretty hard to admit that your body's not doing what it's supposed to do. Number two, IVF is not a guarantee. It's a multi-step, arduous process of growing things, waiting, hoping, but not too hopeful because there's still no guarantee in the end. My business partner often describes being a parent as a breakfast platter. There's eggs and there's bacon on that plate, and one animal gave up a lot more to be on that plate. She reminds me often that mothers are the bacon. Had I not let go of doing this on my own, of seeking the help that was offered to me, I wouldn't get to know my daughter. I want to give you a final reminder about letting go. The secret to life is this: make yourself happy without hurting others. If a job is crushing your spirit, if a relationship is making you miserable, if you are in any way unhappy, I encourage you today to make a change, to find your joy, because there is no one else in this world coming to give it to you. Our hardest goodbyes bring our most beautiful hellos. The longer I work with seniors and the way that I watch my child grow so quickly, I know that life is way too short. Our things are just things. They don't make us who we are. We come into this world with nothing, and we leave this world with nothing. The only thing that we truly leave behind, our legacy, is how we chose to treat other people. Don't be afraid to let go. Don't be afraid to try something new. Don't be afraid of change. I am 1 in 8 who has struggled with infertility, and I'm one of every single one of you in this room who struggles in business. I'd like to take a final moment and acknowledge that I in no way made it here by myself. All of this is because of my business partner, my amazing team, my husband, my parents, my friends, the countless businesses and vendors that have taken a chance on us and help us do what we do every day, networking and therapy. And I remain here today because of Delta. Be stubborn. Don't quit. Try something new. And remember, it's good to let go.